Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heck of a play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heck of a play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heck of a play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heck of a play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heck of a play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here.
Boys are live, episode 84, going for two. Lots of football to talk about. We had a pretty interesting conversation about football before we came on here. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. But before we get started, let's just go around the horn for a second, boys, because I want to know how we're feeling. It's Thursday. It's week 11. We're pretty much at that meat and potatoes kind of stage in the football season, but what else is going on?
Well, we got a rematch of the greatest football of all time. Ask our good buddy there, Nick. He'll tell you all about it. And the best news is they're serving Chick-fil-A at the stadium, saying it's not Sunday.
Ooh, there
That
you
is
go.
a big win, Daniel. A little tidbit of information. Chick-fil-A doesn't open on Sundays, and they have one in that stadium, which blows my mind. When majority of your business will be done on Sunday, you are not open.
Oh, they
Well,
get
they are
lots of
open
college
tonight.
football games in there. I'll
Is
bet
he a
you.
col-
I'll bet you. Mac Jones has more wins in that building than their coach does.
Between that,
And I
and
bet-
they were probably hoping to get some primetime games, right? Lots of primetime games.
Oh,
I
Fortunately, not
guarantee you, Mac Jones has definitely ate Chick-fil-A before. Look at that guy. Ugh.
yeah. Kale, what's
Absolutely.
going on up there in Titanland?
Everybody's injured. to the point that people are even talking about maybe players sitting this week and just kind of throwing the game because it's a divisional game, not a big loss for us if we take it. So yeah, that might be where we're at. That and new story came out today that potentially Derrick Henry might be back the last week of the season. Based off of, and this is all coming because DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't know if you saw or not, but he upped his training regimen today in practice, and he had the exact same injury that Derrick has. So he's about 88 days removed from that surgery and everything. So here's hoping, man.
Would you
pretty cool.
sit him in week 18?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Sit
Okay.
him. You got the first round bye. You
Yeah.
got 2 weeks of prep time, and then he comes out at the ground running in week 2, the playoffs. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's right now is the best time, and I consider myself to be a minority in the fact that I like college basketball as opposed to the NBA basketball, and college basketball is fired up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State took down Butler yesterday. There's always big games on Saturdays. Once we get into December, there'll always be big games on Monday and Tuesday. Something else to put on the TV other than, the CFL or whatever. I mean, I don't mind the CFL, but once the NFL starts, it kind of gets out of the way here. But yeah. Exciting that is on. Gives us something else to bet on when we're talking to our friends over at CoolBet. They just released our curling odds, and actually, friend of the show, Chelsea Carey, is playing with Team LaFleur in their Olympic trials starting this weekend. So definitely watch out for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just changing my running back.
Not
'cause I have
LaFleur,
Cordell
it's Team
Patterson
Fleury.
playing.
Sorry. Team Fleury. Yeah.
You just got that notification, did you? That he's out?
Yeah, so I had to jump out. I had to go
Cordell's-
take out Cordell Patterson. I had to go take him out. So I'm still
Cordell's
here.
out, we got we're counting down Thursday night football, Patriots and Falcons. And Kayla, maybe you can tell us that story about the eclipse that's going on tonight.
Yeah. So there's going to be a partial lunar eclipse tonight that's going to last for 3 minutes and 28 seconds. You can't make it up. This is what the guy says. You can't make this shit up anymore. And the next time that this eclipse will ever happen here on Earth Against Story is 648 years. Like the first time these guys meet up after that Super Bowl, and this is what happens on that very day, right? Just crazy shit,
And
man.
648 years is the next time the Falcons will be in the Super Bowl.
And Brady will probably
you
still
go.
be playing.
Yeah, of course he will.
Yeah, they're just going to
that
freeze
guy-
him, start thawing him out for games.
Yeah.
That guy sold his soul, and I'm okay with it.
What was that movie? Was it Destruction Man or something like that with Sylvester Stallone? We have Frozen in Time.
All right, we got a couple same game parlays going on for the game tonight. I know I got one. I know Chad's got one. I don't know if you other boys got one, but mine's actually paying like absolutely ridiculous money, plus 3,300.
Whoa!
And there's
saw
only
that.
and
How
there's
many
only
do you have?
three
Like
things.
14 or something? Three
No,
things.
three.
Jeez.
So the Patriots to win by 6.5.
Okay. Yeah.
The under in the game to be under 47.5,
Oh.
and Russell Gage to score a touchdown.
Well, I mean, they're pretty limited there as
It's
far as
time.
receivers go, right? I mean, he's
It's time.
he's got to catch something. It can't be Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts every play.
Well, that doesn't help
fine.
out my parlay if it's not Kyle Pitts. So
What was your parlay, Chad?
I'm just pulling it up now.
I think I saw something about over on passing yards, and the last time you did that, the quarterback went out after the first drive injured, didn't he?
Yeah, so if you're a Patriots
That was the
fan,
Lotus.
my bad. It's not loaded up for me. I'm just trying to get it here, but it's Mac Jones over 200,
Okay.
Pats to win money line. Pitts to score anytime.
Okay.
Each team gets a field goal and is playing plus 600.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. So you could definitely win some money if you're looking to play a little same game parlay with our friends over at CoolBet.
Mhm.
One of those same game parlays that might not work out is Sunday Night Football is getting a little bit closer here, and it's starting to get a little bit scary for what kind of product we're going to put on the field here. I'm going to give you a quick list of people that might be out. This isn't even limited. Like, this isn't everybody, but this is a quick snapshot of everybody that might be missing the game. Ben Roethlisberger, Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, Chase Claypool, Joey Bosa, Joe Hayden, 2 offensive linemen for the Steelers, Dotson and Turner, Jerry Tillery. I mean, these are a lot of impact guys.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what we're going to be looking for here. Like, you hear all those names out, what are you looking for Sunday Night Football?
I can finally go to bed and not miss the second half and feel like I woke up to the greatest football game ever.
We never know, man. This reminds me of a couple of years ago, the Steelers had to go on the road to play a Chargers team when they were still playing that little rinky-dink soccer field, and there was a guy named Duck Hodges that had to randomly start because Ben Roethlisberger was out for season. Mason Rudolph got knocked into 2 weeks from now, and yeah, it was time for Duck. Nobody knew anything about Duck. The Chargers were a heavy favorite going in, and I mean, the rest is history. Everyone knows what happened.
So history repeats itself. Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
The Chargers stink when they are when they're a favorite.
I think they stink when their backs are pushed up against the wall. Like when they have to prove themselves, unfortunately they stink, which is rather bad for a team, right? And this is a time now where they're going to have to prove themselves against an absolutely depleted Steelers team.
And it's kind of disgusting how important this game is to the AFC playoff picture, given the stature of what's going to happen. But I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is technically eligible to come off of the list on Saturday or something like that. And I think if the game was anywhere but completely across the country in LA, he'd probably be playing. But at this point, it's hard to imagine that he's playing at all. And then you got Mason Rudolph versus Justin Herbert. That's not what NBC signed up for.
That is the dream matchup.
And I mean, the AFC North, I mean, this is tough for the Steelers too. They need to be making up ground. Well, making up ground. Your guys are all kind of tied up with each other right now, but you need to be kind of gaining some ground on some other players. And you got the Browns playing the Lions. I mean, that should be an easy win for the Browns. Sorry, Lions fans, but it should be. And then you got the Bengals. Who are they match up with? The Raiders. And I mean, that could be a tough matchup for the Bengals because the Raiders are due. They're striving for a win right now themselves as well, right? So that's going to be a hard fought game. I think the Browns might be.
I had a Raiders fan tell me yesterday that it's over.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the Raiders win 3 games.
I think that you can only do so much when you don't have a back end that's covering properly. You lose your corner. It was playing really, really good this year. Their front four is still getting pressure, but there's just anybody can cover. It's shit there. They have no defense.
Well, and they can't sustain drives, and it's really, really affecting them. And when they get out there and they just can't stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs doesn't have the legs to be an effective running back this year. I mean, hopefully next year he does, but right now he doesn't have it under him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we are expecting the performance to look like. Pittsburgh and the Chargers, and we can let that play out because we could talk until we're blue in the face about it. But this NFL season's been so fucked up. The second you think someone has no chance to win, boom, enter Sandman. And that's why I'm going to ask you this next question. Are the Titans in trap game mode? Is this one of those scary ones?
This specific game? I think out of all the games that are coming up in our schedule, this one is the one that we can kind of take the hit on. It's okay. Because then we're creeping up to our bye week here. We play the Pats next week. And they have 10 days to heal up and prepare for us. This is why I was saying, talking about earlier about maybe sitting guys. We did a similar thing last year or 2 years ago, with New Orleans. Or was it last year? We do with New Orleans, and we sat some players that game on purpose, knowing that the last games were 2 games of the season were more important than that specific interconference game. So I don't know. I don't think that this one is the trap game. I think that I'm okay with. You're going to hear first, taking a loss this week against the beat-up Texans. If it happens, it happens. It's the remaining schedule after that I think they've really got to play through. The Pats game is the big one. That's the one that's going to really determine a lot in the AFC.
Chad, how you feeling about this one?
I just don't like sitting players. And I don't like, I wouldn't say putting your best product on the field. I understand what you're saying, Caitlin, 100%. I don't understand. I just don't want to lose a game ever. Maybe that's just who I am. But I don't like benching players. I feel it actually hurts chemistry a lot. And when you're playing a lesser opponent, it's really good for the confidence too of some of these guys who might not have been playing at their best yet. So for me, it's take advantage of it and get these reps. Use it as controlled scrimmage. Start your guys in the first half. You can start pulling them out early, but I don't like benching guys. I don't like taking away reps like that. That's me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Everybody has their philosophies. I'm not saying I'm God's gift to coaching by any means, but I just don't like benching guys. I want to see them get their reps.
And that's where, I mean, I think I could fall in line with that and say, yeah, reps is a big thing. I guess the only thing that I, as a Titans fan, we can say is we've had the most guys on IR and injured the whole year. We've been rotating guys at every position the entire season long. So it's okay if we throw some other guys in there. Like, who the hell would have known who Nichols Westbrook Akina was before this season if you weren't even a Titans fan? And most Titans fans wouldn't even know who that guy was. And Shane, you brought his name up 4 times this season so far. So that's a guy who, came in, was able to show some flashes off the practice squad and earned his reps. So I guess it's the only reason that I'm kind of optimistic through the injuries, because we've been able to get through them anyways. It is. But yeah, taking reps, Chad, you're right. You can't. And we're also half through the season. This is the other half now where you got to start fine tuning your shit because playoffs are right around the corner. It seems like a long time away, but you blink and they're here.
And
Well,
like
and
you guys are
in
going to have a
scary
bye
state,
week too, right?
Yeah.
Here's hoping, man. There's only one team with a bye week, and we're hoping we're gonna get it.
You're in a scary state where the toughest part of your schedule is already over, and it almost seems like the division is in hand. So these are the kind of games that you don't want to get away from you because you don't want to start the losing habit. Like you're on a roll right now. Now this week, and I'm gonna drop our super boost here because Pat was so kind to get it out. So I literally emailed this dude, like it usually takes about a day, like a day and a half. I emailed this dude a half an hour later. He sent me back, "You boys are live." So if the Titans are able to not necessarily shit the bed, but maybe just not shit kick the boys, we got the Texans plus 14.5, the Colts plus 10.5, and the Packers on the money line, super boost all the way up to plus 400. I feel pretty good about that, honestly.
Yeah. I'm going to this weekend expecting players not to play. I'm with it too. 100%. And it's division, right? We know about that. Division, you can't ever count out games.
Oh, I think the Colts line is huge, man. Like they have that one at 7 points right now. We bought up a couple points, but I mean, you bring JTT on the road, old home improvement style, and this guy, they're not going to get blown out by the Bills.
10.5 points is a lot of points.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. In the NFL, that's a massive spread. I'm okay with that. I'd be taking that all day long. The second I see double-digit spreads, I almost feel like you automatically just have to take it. Because that's a lot of points just to give up.
Right. Yeah, it's a ton of points to give up, but weird things have been happening. I don't believe that the Texans are going to beat the Titans, even if the Titans roll out the B and C squad. But I do think that they can keep it within 3 scores.
Yeah, 100%.
And the Colts on the road, will they lose by more than 10? I don't think so. And does anybody believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to play that shitty 2 weeks in a row? I don't. So
no.
This one feels like it's the week that the Super Boost turns around, boys. So we're gonna have to keep hammering it. We just keep working away at it. Before we signed off on Monday, Kalen had brought up this time around for this show we were going to talk about Coach of the Year. So I went one further and I put on here, I want your Coach of the Year, I want your MVP to this date, Defensive Player of the Year, and then if you want to modify your Super Bowl pick, now would be the time. So if you guys need a second to prepare, I don't mind starting. You guys know I don't mind going first.
Take the floor, Shane. It's all yours, buddy.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to do that because I know your fucking homer ass is going to take Mike Vrabel, and it would be absolutely impossible for anybody to disagree with Mike Vrabel being the Coach of the Year at this point. Even if you wanted to remove the record, you lost an offensive weapon like Derrick Henry. They've had what was it, Ken? 75 players that have actively played on the team this year?
We're up to 82 right now, and the record's 84 for the season. Yeah.
Right. So that's absurd. Obviously, they're going to smash that record. And it just, when you see Vrabel at the press conferences, he doesn't look shook. He doesn't look rattled. He's got a plan. He's still going to practice. He's putting his full body armor on. He's getting slapped around by the boys. I'm okay with Vrabel winning it. I think that he would have to do a whole lot down the stretch to not win it.
All right. I agree. I fully agree with you on that one, Shane. But there is one person that I think deserves a
I'm-
lot of credit.
I'm glad we agree because when we don't agree, it usually gets pretty awkward on here.
Well, this is
I
going
heard
to
it
get a
gets
little more.
lopsided.
This is going to get a little more awkward, I think, Shane, because you're not going to hear this very often from me. Depending on how you guys finish out this year, I really think that Mike Tomlin deserves a lot of credit. I'm sick and tired of hearing about Cliff Kingsbury down there and getting all the praise he's getting with that offensive juggernaut he's throwing on the field. The defense has played okay. When they lost J.J. Watt, unfortunately, the truth kind of showed through a little bit. But you guys have played nearly as injured at significant positions. You've started a rookie running back, which is always going to be hard for most teams. You have a very mediocre offensive line. I mean, let's be realistic here. They're not very good. And yet you are still being successful offensively to a point, much better than I thought you were going to be. And again, the defense just plays. It doesn't matter. And that leads, I'll let you finish with your list, but that's going to lead into who I think is the defensive player of the year. So it depends again how your team finishes out. But if I wasn't a Titans fan, Tomlin is a very close number 2 for me right now.
Yeah, I think that you kicked that one out of the park.
I think you guys make me want to fucking vomit. That was the most disgusting display of best friendship I've ever seen. And I never want to see that shit from either of you again. Like, you want to know what uncomfortable feels like? Watching that was uncomfortable. So I respect both your choices. They're both great candidates. But for the sake of this show and just for my personal health, please never do that to each other again. That was awkward to watch. And I'm going to go against what Kalen said. And I was actually going to say Cliff Kingsbury. They've been a 500 team the last few years. They've never really got it done. And yes, he's built this offensive juggernaut, but he built the offensive juggernaut. They put pieces on defense that have helped them. And I think what he's doing now with them, and if they can stay the course, I don't see how he can't do it. Like, you came up with a young quarterback 3 years ago in Kyler Murray. And of course, that now we're finally seeing who Kyler Murray is. And he's right up there for the MVP. He's not my pick for MVP, but he's right up there.
Do you think he made the right choice on Josh Rosen, like getting rid of him?
I think we can safe to say that all those teams that passed on Josh Rosen did not regret it.
No.
Oh, I mean, the only thing, I'm just going to play little devil's advocate for you there because you didn't like my pick either, Chad.
No, I didn't like the way you guys both picked. I didn't have a problem with your pick. Okay. I just didn't like the way it went down.
Let me explain the Cliff Kingsbury thing a little bit more. I saw DeAndre Hopkins make Bill O'Brien look like a goddamn genius for 7 years down in Houston in that division. And I think that there's a lot of bailout opportunities. And now he hasn't played the last couple of weeks. We've had to see what Cliff can bring. But Nuck makes coaches look better, man. That's all. That's why I feel that way. And I love Arizona. I love them as a team.
Yeah, I don't know.
So now you got to tell us who your next lineup is then, right, Shane?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Cliff Kingsbury guy, but what he's doing, can't really argue with. He made James Conner look like a Pro Bowler again. That's not an easy feat.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin was not able to do that as much as he loved him. But MVP, I'm going to go off the board here a little bit, and I'm going to say, after what we saw from Jordan Love, how can you not call Aaron Rodgers the MVP? He's by far the most valuable player on that team, and it's not even close.
Okay.
There is no Packers Super Bowl run. There is no Packers team at, what are they at right now? 7-2. They are not that without Aaron Rodgers. And take aside that shitty performance in Jacksonville against New Orleans, which is a mess all in its own. The guy has been awesome.
All right. Chad, you got one? Or you want me to go?
Well, I have 1A and 1B.
Oh.
Guys, my 1A is Tom Brady for everything he's doing down in Tampa. I'm not going to sit here and tell too much.
I took it away from him after that fucking bullshit mistake in Washington.
That's fine. I still think I think he's still the lead candidate the way he's playing right now. When he's on, kind of the similar situation with Aaron Rodgers, I think if Tom went down in Tampa, I don't want to know what we'd be walking into. This exact same thing happened last year with us in November. I think we turned it around, and I think we run the table to go on the rest of the way like we did just like last year. Tom Brady in December is a different beast. Tom Brady in January, we all know how that ends. I know January is not the regular season, but that is my MVP. And now my 1B is Derrick Henry, and I think it's an absolute shame that we can't even talk about how great he could have been. The way he was controlling football games and how good he just was all year long. Like, his yards after contact were second rusher in the league. So to
You
sit
come
here
at
and
me
say,
now you're gonna kiss Kalen's belly button? Come on.
well, I know. I said it was a team effort when he came back and said Tomlin. It was okay when one of you did it. When you both did it, it made me sick.
And after 2 weeks of not playing, Derrick Henry is still tied for the lead in rushing.
Exactly. And I think that's why it sucks that we're not going to see how it finishes out. I really do think Derrick Henry could have been the MVP, and he would have been my actual first pick if he stayed healthy.
Wow. Well, I feel like we've all sipped the nice juice today because I'm about to do something again that I don't think I would ever do. I'm going to stick with a running back because that's what Tennessee Titans fans do. I'm even staying in the frigging division, and I'm going to be picking a Colt. And I think it's Jonathan Taylor, Thomas, man. He's honestly, that you talk about a team that it can't do anything when a player's not playing well. Like Aaron Rodgers not playing there and then having to go up with Jordan Love. Carson Wentz leans on JTT far more than Aaron Rodgers even leans on Devontae Adams sometimes. The screens, the swing routes, the rushing attempts. The only time I see the Colts lose this season is when Reich decides to not run the ball, which is he had success against us in both games. And when he stopped running the ball, we were able to come back or to take over the game. So and the numbers that he's put up, guys, as far as his yards per carry, his reception yardage per catch, and even his broken tackle yardages are way up there. So I think that's my reasoning for picking JTT. That's where we're at.
You want to know what's awesome? I called him that as a joke, and it's stuck.
Oh yeah,
Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the kid on Home.
the kid. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
He was the original Lion King. He was Simba.
Simba. All right, so that's our MVPs. So who do we got next? We got Defensive Player of the Year, right? And what's left?
And
The
then
Super Bowl
if
pick.
you want to change your Super Bowl pick, you can change your Super Bowl pick.
All right.
Defensive Player of the Year. I don't even need to say. You guys already know what I'm going to pick. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
TJ Watt for every reason. The guy tore his ACL and separated his hip and regenerated on the sideline, and his X-rays came back negative. For all that, he's a superhuman. And the fact that the guy has made, I don't know, $120 million in the offseason and still plays every fucking play like he's like he hasn't got paid yet. Not a lot of guys do that.
All right.
Did I steal yours?
Well, you did. I was going to pick TJ, but if we're going to stay in the homerism scene, then I'm just going to stick with, again, my boys. I know he doesn't have
Christian Fulton.
You know I love him, and I got a stat for you later on that one. But I got my tie for 1A, 1B here too, man. I know it's me being a homer saying that, but Harold Landry has had a breakout season. He's going to get friggin' paid in the offseason now.
You're taking two Titans?
Kevin fucking Byard has played a fantastic season this year.
That is too far.
He is the highest rated safety. He plays all over the field as a rover type position now. He is he can predict plays better than I've seen most safeties do since Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu, for that example. This year specifically, he had a couple bad years, but this year has been a significant.
Don't lose me. I'm buying into the boys. Do not compare Kevin Byard to Troy Polamalu.
I think if I remember right, if I remember right, though, you talked about that play that he jumped the route on Stafford. I think, did you not compare him to a very high end safety at some point that you hadn't seen a play jump like that since somebody? Was that not you that said that?
I mean, I definitely said it was a great play. I definitely didn't compare him to Troy Polamalu.
I thought you said something about the reading of the coverage there. Maybe it was somebody else that I was talking to anyway. But that's
probably in one of your Titans Reddit forums.
Stop it. That's my 1A, my 1B defensive player.
They're gonna split it.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
they can hold hands up there.
We had to split the only MVP we've ever had. We had to split. So that's just what we do. Do you remember that year? Peyton Manning and Steve McNair had to split it.
Yeah.
Terrible. In division MVP. How did that happen?
Sounds like a participation ribbon for Steve McNair.
It's pronounced Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that's the only MVP.
Yeah.
So defensive MVP. Who we got, Chad?
Just to piss off Shane Miles Garrett. Just to fuck with him. There's
Man,
too much love going on. There's too much love going on in this show, and I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you, I'm super uncomfortable with everybody being nice to each other today. We weren't so nice before the show. Maybe we're making it up. I don't know, but I'm gonna say Myles Garrett just
Well,
to piss off
you
Shane.
saw
I think
Kalen have a
he's
break-
a. I
You saw
think
him have a
that
breakdown before we came on, so we are here for each other.
yeah, and I think he's a better pass rusher than T.J. Watt, just for the fuck of it. I just feel like.
Now you're being an idiot.
No, I don't. I don't watch defensive players. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't sit there and really care about who wins defensive player of the year. I think it's an award, but it doesn't really get me going. So
I'd like throwing Garrett's name into that list, except for him bitching out there the other day, complaining about having to play back. Fool.
Yeah, and he stinks and he's a bitch. But all right, Super Bowl picks. You guys want to refresh your Super Bowl picks? Are you still feeling good or what?
I don't even know who I picked. I think I took
Well,
Tampa.
then refresh
but-
it. Just pick something.
Pretty sure it was Titans Cards. Was who I picked. My two favorite teams, and I'm sticking with that.
I thought Buffalo's your second favorite team.
Only
Because
last year.
I said that I got on the bandwagon after we got out of the playoffs. I was all in. I liked the fans.
It also you can't second best my second best team because I have a hard on for Arizona for years.
Yeah.
So have I.
Shane, I used to wear the Edgerrin James jersey back in high school.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that you can't make up.
Yeah, I just had to wait for him to
Edgerrin
leave
James
the
on the
Colts
back
back to
end of his
cheer for him.
career. Yeah, Edgerrin James on the back end of his career, Kalen had his jersey.
He was an animal
yeah.
of a running back, eh, boys? Wow. You think
Yeah,
back to him?
Indianapolis.
Yes, I mean, like, he really ran well. Like, I didn't think I looked back recently at his numbers. Fuck, he had great years, like all around playing too, like receiving and rushing.
He had a pretty
Great
good
player.
quarterback that helped him out.
Yeah, and the gold teeth. Remember that?
Well, he went- he did-
My original Super Bowl pick was the Bills and the Rams. Now,
Hmm.
at this point, the Bills haven't peaked, and I think that's a good thing because they're still in first place. I'm losing a little bit of faith in the Rams. Sorry, Liam. They just don't seem to have the answers when defensive strategy rolls out and Stafford has to just stand in the pocket. For some reason, they're afraid to let him roll out and bootleg. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm tempted to put the Packers in against the Bills, but I think the most entertaining Super Bowl would be the Packers and the Titans probably. Because it would be so awesome to come on here the day after the Super Bowl
Oh, I
and
bet it
talk
would.
about how the Packers beat the Titans in the Super Bowl.
I bet it would.
Now, can I get you off the Bills train just a little bit, Shane? I'm
Please.
going to get you off it a little bit. I'm going to name the teams that the Bills have beat this year. Okay, the Dolphins, Washington,
they're pretty good.
yeah, Texans, the Chiefs, the Dolphins again, and the Jets. They've lost to the Jags, the Titans, and the Steelers. Now, I'm not going to say that the Jags are a good team, but it seems to me when the Bills meet up with a good team, they flounder. So that's why I'm off I was off the wagon 3 weeks ago from them because I just saw nothing as far as good wins.
Chad, you got something for the Super Bowl?
Well, I think I did take the Bills and the Bucks. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I
There's
think
no way I
you
would
did
have
too.
picked the Chiefs. I don't think I would have picked the Chiefs again. I'm not worried about the Bills. I think they're going to figure it out. I actually took the Titans to win the AFC though on a cool bet. So the odds are really
we are
good.
getting the boys to
Ooh.
come over here, huh? That's awesome, man.
No, that was called the
What did you
it
catch
was-
them at?
625. That's
Holy
why I
shit.
took them. That's the real reason why I took them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good enough reason to take them, I think.
Yeah, I threw $20 on that. Why not?
Hey,
Nobody just throws
That
away
sounds like
money,
a-
Chad. You took them because you wanted to take them, baby.
No, I like the odds.
classic. Yeah.
The
well, yeah,
but
I don't know,
I
man.
still think the Bucks win the NFC. At the end of the day, I like Tom Brady in December. I love Tom Brady in January, and kind of to touch on your Bills comment about who they've beat. A guy named Tom Brady beat the Dolphins and the Jets a lot in his career, and he did win a couple Super Bowls. So I would knock those guys out.
Vinny Testaverde. and Chad Pennington. Those were the teams he played against.
Yeah,
Stop
and Tom Brady won, and you want to call Super Bowls too.
You just you gotta practice against the slubs and then get there when it's game time. I don't know, man. We'll see what's going on for the Super Bowl, but one thing that feels like it's for certain, we're doing another 3-hour live show on the Super Bowl, right, boys? And the boys are officially on the spot, and that means it's a yes. Perfect.
3
I
hours.
actually,
All right.
I didn't know that we weren't gonna do it, so I just assumed we were again.
Yeah, at the end of the last one, we were like, "Fuck, 3 hours is a lot," and I was like, I'm just gonna challenge them on the show.
Yeah, I was
They're not gonna say no.
definitely, I was pretty drunk by the end of it.
Yeah, no, I know. We noticed. It was.
And what
it was a great
what are
time.
you what are we going to be drinking at this year's 3-hour show?
Well, I think this year, we should probably be sitting at the same bar that I'm sitting at right now.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go live 3 hours, eh? All together.
I think that would be wonderful.
If one of our if our teams are playing though, like you realize, like this can't go down.
I'm fairly certain that I am in okay shape to not be the guy backing out. Love the Steelers. Love what they're doing. I think Mikey T is going to make sure that his record's intact. But we might be like a one and done playoff team.
If the Titans make the Super Bowl, there is absolutely no way I'm hanging out with you guys during that game. I'm sorry, man.
No,
if it goes south, I can't handle that. I'm gonna break.
Yeah, I respect that. You know what? We should plan for virtual, and we'll see if we can get in person. Virtual is easier to get guests on anyway. Whatever, we'll figure it out. We got lots of time to figure that shit out. Pretty big week for football, and we should announce that Joe Cools is bringing back their Turkey Bowl party. 1 year removed. Obviously, lockdowns kept it the way it was last year. We won't be doing a show from there, but we might be there hanging out. Amy's already made sure that if we want to go, the invitations are out there. She'll put a reservation down for us. So make sure you check that out. They're starting at noon. They're giving away barbecues. They got lots of specials going on. It's going to be a fucking wild party because that's really all that ever happens at Joe Cool's is a wild party. So, but for this week, let's break down some of these big games. First one that comes to mind, Green Bay, Minnesota. I'm kind of bouncing around here. My chair is seems like it's about to give out. It's one of those air chairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I need to jack it back up. Green Bay and Minnesota. How are we feeling about Green Bay, Minnesota? In Minnesota.
I think Aaron Rodgers just has a feast.
Yeah.
And I think A.J. Dillon just takes over the game. And I think it's not going to be even close.
Yep. I agree. And I don't know if it's Aaron Rodgers that's going to be doing it. I think their defense is just absolutely ridiculous right now. I think I read something that they've only got 14 or 23 points or something they put up over them in the last few games combined.
One of those games was against Kansas City too, right?
Yeah. Their defense is just on a totally different level that I don't even know if Aaron even has to do very much in order to get the points on the board this weekend. So, but Kirk Cousins, we talked about MVP numbers. This guy is making a case for him still. He can't win a friggin' game, but he's putting up 300 plus yards all the time and 2-3 touchdowns all the time as well. So It's always going to be a good stat game for him. Who's ever got him in fantasy is pretty happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that game is pretty important for Minnesota. Probably means something for Green Bay in the sense of the first round bye, but this is probably the end of Minnesota's alleged playoff run that they think that they're on. Big one, Buffalo and Indy. That's a huge game. We've kind of already talked a little bit about it. If I were, gun to my head betting a money line, I would probably take the Bills, but I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I don't know if you guys I think they were all pretty much in agreement on something along those lines. Yeah.
Buffalo's got one of the better secondaries. Their run defense is what's really one of the best in the league, right? So, and I don't know you guys aren't big on stats, but their DVOA jumped up 7 spots in the last couple of weeks too, which is very, very big for them. It just goes to show where they're trending as far as their strength on defense goes. And JTT, I just praised him. This is where we're gonna have to find out what this kind of kid is. I know I'm calling him that again. This is where we're gonna have to find out what this kid's all made about, right? Because he's going up against a top tier offense or defense, and they're going to need to lean on him because those wide receivers aren't getting separation against that secondary.
Right.
Can I just
That
touch
one's
base?
gonna-
I want to touch base on the Green Bay thing one more time, just because
Go
I
ahead.
saw a really dumbass thing in one of the groups I follow online. Some idiot put out a top 10 quarterbacks list of the 2021, and he refused to put Aaron Rodgers on it. And I was
Cool
like,
guy.
well, and his response was, he doesn't care about the league, so we shouldn't care about him. And I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers was very upset about this man's comment. But I don't like. First off, I don't care how dumb you are. How is Aaron Rodgers not in your top 10? He's a top 2 in the league. Like that just
Embarrassing.
shows. It just shows like how stupid some people are, and I just can't handle it. And I'm pissed off about it. It bothered me a lot. I wanted to share it because that's
Well,
what like.
I think anybody that hasn't read that article you wrote about Aaron Rodgers and kind of the villain mentality needs to rush over to goinfor2.com and check that thing out, because I've never seen such a divisive topic get only positive feedback. So that's when I think you fucking nailed it. But the Eagles and the Saints, a game that I don't think anybody would be interested in actually watching, but it does have a little bit of implication as far as the NFC wildcard's looking. As bad as the Eagles have been at points, a win here puts them right in position to where they need to be to try and get themselves into this playoff race. I don't see any way that the Eagles catch the Cowboys for the division, but I do think that if they can string some wins together, are you believing in a Jalen Hurts with this Eagles team, or are you going to believe in a PJ Walker, Cam Newton mixture for this 7th wild card kind of thing? And I don't know how far Trevor Siemian can take the Saints, but what are you looking for in this game?
I think I trust the defense in Carolina more than I trust Cam Newton. I think that's what's really going to do that. As far as like Philly goes, this ain't their year. They're not catching up. I don't think they're making the playoffs. I certainly think they have things to build on. Devontae Smith is amazing. Like, I think he's a really, really good receiver. And even if Jalen Hurts, I have no idea if he's going to be there in a couple of years or not, but even a mediocre Jalen Hurts makes Devontae Smith make a mediocre Jalen Hurts look good. So if he can continue that trend and they get a little bit of help on the offensive line, and remember, they lost one of their top running backs this year to start, did they not? Pretty sure. I don't remember. I don't know if you guys know
yeah,
that.
I think Miles Sanders is on IR, but I think that he's going to come back. Probably not this week, but in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they've been in tough shape, but they've had Jordan Howard, who I bet most people didn't think were still in the league.
When I saw that, I thought it was a different Jay Howard. I honestly looked him up to be like, is that still the same guy? Like, I can't believe he's been floating around on a couch somewhere for this long. He hasn't. He's been like the practice squad or something, right, for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy how and his resurgence back into the team.
I asked Shane who that was when we were watching it at his house.
Yeah. He's had 42 carries and 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. So
yeah,
that's pretty wild. I didn't know that he was
saved his legs.
I think that the Eagles are going to win this one, and I know that you're saying this isn't the year for the Eagles, but I think that it's not time for them to go away yet, and they're gonna find a way to sneak back into this mix because they have games against the Giants and games against the Washingtons, and as long as you can play shitty teams like that, you have a chance. Your division isn't strong enough for you to be out of the playoffs quite yet. Probably the main event of the weekend is the Cowboys and the Chiefs. That's the kind of thing that makes you want to get sick when you talk about the Cowboys being in one of the best games of the week against the Chiefs. But are you expecting a lot of offense here? Like which way? Maybe don't tell me which way you're leaning because we still have our pick'em that we're doing, and right now Kalen's the one that's jumping in the water again. But what are you expecting to see in something like this?
Over 62.5 points.
Okay. Is that the actual spread? That seems like it's a
I
lot.
have no idea, but I think that's where it could go.
Okay.
I think Dallas is going to score all day long, and I think they're starting to get Zeke rolling, and it's helping out a lot. Tony Pollard's used as an accessory, and it's really helping that out. Dak's looking phenomenal. They're spreading their ball around. It's not just Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Gallup. It's like they're kind of almost going to like the old Green Bay before Devontae Adams and Patriot way of whatever the best matchup is, that's who's going to take over the game.
Right.
And then as far as Kansas City goes, they always have the U.S. track team out there, and we're going to see really how good Trayvon Diggs is, and see if he can cover a guy like Tyreek Hill all day long. Because he gets beat deep a lot, and I know he takes chances, and I get that. But a guy like Tyreek Hill, you have to keep in front of you. You cannot let him get behind you. So put a double move on a guy like Trayvon Diggs and see what happens. And I think that could be a big game for Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Cowboys are probably going to take that win home. They got the pass rush that the Chiefs can't compete with. I talked last week about the Chiefs win against the Raiders in the last show and how I wasn't totally sold on that win because they went in and played a very beat up team everywhere from top to bottom, mentally, physically, and everything. So I don't think they're going to be able to put up points on the Dallas defense. Parsons is too good. He moves all over the line. He gets pressure. He covers. Van Der Esch is playing far better than he did 2 years ago, even. And that was considered one of the Rookie of the Year candidates there. They just have too much available there. Where they think that they will falter is Trayvon Diggs is going to give up a score. He's going to give up a bad play. And that's kind of unfortunate at this point as a Cowboys fan. You were going to have to count on almost every game because he's going to give a big play. Was it going to be a touchdown or a 70-yard bomb? We don't know. But he's going to give a big play. So can you counter it? Dak, I sure as shit think could.
Right. Well, we'll let the games play out the way that they lie. And this is one I was hoping we were going to have more time for this, but we might just have to take as much time as possible. We've talked a lot about Baker Mayfield on here. We've gone back and forth. I've never wavered. I think he fucking stinks. But if you're the GM of the Browns and you're looking at this thing, what are you really doing with a Baker Mayfield who has come out and said that he's just too beat up right now? How do you buy this guy that's too beat up right now, knowing that he's heading into surgery? He's never really done, like, he's not putting up the Dak numbers when the Cowboys paid Dak coming off of a surgery. What has Baker Mayfield done to earn a huge contract coming off of a surgery? And if you're looking at it as a Browns executive, what is your actual play here? Chad, go ahead. Chad started talking, and then go ahead.
I didn't. Social cues. I think it was just. I think the Browns are going to pay him. They have to pay him. As if they want to or not, I almost feel like they think that he's going to strong arm them. Look what they've done before him.
He can't. His shoulders all fucked up. He can't strong arm anything.
Maybe his other hand. I don't know. But he's won games for them. He took them on a playoff run. And unfortunately, for how bad the Browns have been in our existence, how do you not bring him back? And like that's how he's going to strong arm them. And there's not a quarterback coming into the league that is worth taking to take over a team that can win now. I know you're not going to say that because you hate everybody in your division, so you're going to tell me I'm an idiot and wrong. But I don't think Baker's is as bad as what everybody thinks that he is. Like, I think he's really good for their system. I think Odell leaving was a blessing. And I think he's going to go back to playing the football they played last year, where I think he should have got paid and they didn't extend him. But yeah, no, I think he's back next year. I just don't know what number it's going to be. I can't see it being above that 37 number.
Do they tag him?
I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be the worst move to tag him.
That's the only way I would bring it back is if I was tagging him.
If you can get him around the 36 mark, even 35, which I don't think he'd take 35. If you get him at 35, I'd re-sign him. But if you can't get him, if he wants more than 37, then I think, yeah, you have to franchise him.
All right. Well, I know this is a weird stance to take because every athlete's going to try and get their money, I almost think that Baker might not even try and go into that. He might try and take this Tom Brady route where he says, I'll take a team friendly type deal in order to help build around me. And the reason why I say that is because, let's be honest, Cleveland every year in free agency puts money out there. They try. I mean, realistically, they win every offseason. It doesn't matter what we want to make fun of them about. Every analyst tells them they win every offseason. So it's a team that's willing to put money out there, and they've proven that many years over and over again. Then you look at a team like Green Bay, who Aaron hasn't had that ability. He hasn't had the free agent or even the first round acquisitions that Baker has had. Also, the team goes, I know this was a team thing, I think, really, but I think the team also stood up and said, Baker's our guy when they got rid of OBJ. You pull that shit with our quarterback, you're gone. And if they're willing to cut ties with that to protect their quarterback, I think that's another reason why Baker, I would say, the team wants me here. They're doing what they can to not just support the team, but to support me as well. There's a lot of for every. You remember this guy played for fucking Hugh Jackson, guys. He knows what it's like to play for a bad team and bad coaching. So
Right.
Stefanski, I should have won Coach of the Year last year. He won that in a lot of what the Browns did as a team kind of thing. But he's a hell of a lot better coach than Baker's ever had, and I think it'd be smart of Baker. And I honestly, I weirdly, oddly think that Baker would take that team friendly deal. Just the way that he's talked about his contract with the media. How he doesn't care about it, and it just seems he's shrugging it off. Like, it'll happen when it happens, and I'll get what I get, kind of thing. Weird stance to take, I know, but
I don't know if I was Cleveland, and I will take this sweater off, and then you don't have to look at the logo. But if I was doing the best thing for Cleveland, I would be taking my next 2 first-round picks, and I would be sending them to Houston and saying, "We'll take Deshaun Watson. What else do you want? You want a couple players? Okay, maybe you want either Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. We'll give you him too." Because the Cleveland run game isn't built on the player; it's built on the system. And Dearness Johnson has proven that. And they have this Fulton character who seems like he can flourish in the offense too. I would send Baker Mayfield to Houston with a couple first round picks and Kareem Hunt and just say, "Yeah, we'll take Deshaun Watson." And I'm fairly certain that we will win the Super Bowl with him.
Well, the only one more addition too for Baker. I know you said that as Cleveland. One reason why Baker would stick around is because if he's going to go to a team that's willing to pay him, that team's got to be pretty bad right now. There's no good teams looking for a quarterback, right? So he's just going to keep living in purgatory again for the next 3 to 5 years if he's going to have a non-team friendly deal as well, right?
Maybe he wants to come to Pittsburgh. Who knows? That's a good
Could you
team that's
imagine?
about to lose their quarterback, and a team that, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger can play for as long as he wants with the way Mason Rudolph played against Detroit. But let's move out of the NFL and we'll move into college because we got about 10 minutes here. Looks like Troy Aikman and Buck are already on the screen here. Got a pretty big week for college football. In the Big Ten is the game that I'm most focused on. I did put down a couple other games that have playoff implications behind them, but a couple big coaching opportunities that have kind of floated around here for college. First of all, Mel Tucker was rumored to go to LSU, and then Michigan State went ahead and just rolled out 10 years, $95 million for him.
How do you feel, Shane? It's his
Second year, he did a hell of a lot better this year than even you expected walking into it. We're talking a 10-year, $100 million deal. Only one other coach got that kind of deal, right?
Well, I don't think that they're going to get in the same kind of trouble.
No.
But how do you feel after the second season, though? Like, that's a lot of commitment to give to some guy after 2 years, and not even the full 2 years yet.
This guy can recruit. He doesn't mind using the transfer portal. The way that they turn things around so quickly, I'm all for it. Michigan State football is they're the kind of team that people will support them while they're winning, and they will not support them while they're losing. And I've gone through the ups and the downs and seen a couple of NFL caliber quarterbacks come through. Only one of them actually panned out. I am happy to have Mel Tucker there. We don't want to keep turning over coaches. Turning over coaches sets back your recruiting probably 4 years at a time. And D'Antonio signs off on this. The entire administration signs off on this. This is Mel Tucker's dream job, and I'll roll with that. I'm happy about it. I mean, the only person probably more happy than I am about this is Ryan Day, because this made Mel Tucker the highest paid coach in the Big Ten. And if you think Ohio State's going to let that thing go, there's no chance. Chad,
Does he need it? Does he need 10 years to surpass the contract though, or do you think it's an 8-year deal and surpasses it?
I mean, whatever. I think it's going to be more about annual value than anything. And Ryan Day has done a whole lot more winning at Ohio State than Mel Tucker's done at Michigan State. And his agent, whoever his agent is, and Ryan Day went home and explained the whole situation to his wife and was like, babe, we can buy whatever house you want. We could buy half of Ohio right now because they just paid Mel Tucker all this money. There is no chance that there's no chance that Ryan Day at the end of this year isn't making more than $10 million a year.
He'll be the highest paid coach in football, in college football.
And another, the other coaching move that it's still a rumor, but it's one that feels like it has actual steam to it. Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss to go to Miami.
Lane Kiffin, the loser.
Just out of curiosity, did USC, just because we brought up Lane Kiffin, have they figured out a coach yet? Is there any real rumor for them?
No,
that's a team I think sneakily could come up and have one of those gigantic type contracts, right? Because they're friggin' due. They've been searching for a team and a coach for a decade now, it seems.
Well, I think they sniffed around Mike Tomlin, and then he went ahead and soccer kicked them out the room.
How much of a soccer kick was it?
I don't know. It was, they were stumbling over. I know that for sure. But yeah, I mean, we'll watch this Lane Kiffin thing. I mean, it's pretty wild that an Ole Miss team like this is about to lose a coach to a program that hasn't won anything in the last decade. But big games this week. Michigan State versus Ohio State. Both teams 9-1. This is for the Big Ten East right here. This is essentially the team that is going to be that fourth playoff team. Right now, Ohio State's favored by 19. I can tell you right now, they're not winning by 19. If they win, and I do think that it would be tough for me to sit here and say that I think Michigan State's just going to beat them. It's in Columbus. But if you're a bettor, go to CoolBet.
Which we are.
Yeah. Find that line and take it right now, because as it gets closer to the game, this thing's going to come down and down and down. And Ohio State has not been very good against the spread this year. So I think it's a completely disrespectful line. I think that this is going to be one of those games that's decided in the fourth quarter. Michigan State's offense is good enough to roll with them. They just paid their coach. They have the leading candidate for the Heisman. You can't disrespect them like that, even though they're going on the road. So I'm going to say roll Michigan State plus the 19, but I don't know. I'll let you guys do it because you're probably more unbiased than I am.
I agree. But I think that the team, Michigan State's playing for a few things. They're obviously playing for their season still. It's really important. And it's a rivalry. Kenneth Walker's playing for something still. He's certainly going to making a name for himself in the Heisman race still. Or not making a name. He is the name right now. But you've also, I know that the deal hasn't been signed yet. And I think that there's a part of this that the team is saying, let's go out and show what we can do for this coach to get our coach that contract that he deserves, kind of thing too. So I think there's a part of that that's playing into this as well. And I think that's part of the reason why it hasn't partially been announced, is that they don't want to announce this and then go into a game where they fall on their face potentially, right? Let's just do this a bit closer after the game, potentially see how it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how she goes. 12 o'clock noon Saturday. That's why college football is awesome. You don't even have to wait until an afternoon. Noon, roll out of bed, fucking go watch one of the biggest college football games of the year. Other big ones, Bama has a challenge against Arkansas. Bama is obviously still in the situation where they need to start making statements, because that Georgia team is really good. As much as I think in the SEC championship game, Bama is going to be the favorite. I don't know. I have a weird feeling that the only way that Cincinnati can find their way into this playoff is if Bama loses that game. Arkansas has been a scary team. They got off to a hot start. They kind of shit the bed in the middle. Cincinnati's got SMU, which they're actually only favored by 10 on them. SMU is a much better team.
That's their biggest game this year besides Notre Dame's. They have to go out with style points and just execute everywhere and just like step on the jugular. If you're up, it doesn't matter. Like it has to be kill shot after kill shot for them. That's the only way. They need to win big and they need help. And just winning isn't enough. Like I think the line in the Mighty Ducks says, if you can't win big, it's not what is it? It's not worth winning if you can't win big. And I think that's kind of the situation that Cincinnati's in. Because just winning isn't enough right now for them. There's a lot of teams that are right there with them who are going to get a lot more respect.
Mm-hmm.
The other game I think that's really interesting is the Pac-12 game. That Utah-Oregon game has a lot of implications on that whole conference.
Mm-hmm.
And if Oregon wants to be taken seriously, similar to the Bama situation and the Cincinnati thing, they have to win and they have to win big.
And yeah, I mean, like I wrote that in the article. From that Utah team's perspective, they are in better shape to play in the Rose Bowl if they lose to Oregon. Like, try and wrap your mind around that, because right now Utah's at 22, Oregon's at 3. So even if Utah is to beat Oregon, that will knock Oregon out of playoff contention. But the way that the Rose Bowl is picked is your Pac-12 champion or your highest rated college football ranking. But there's no way that Utah can move as high as Oregon would go. Even if Oregon loses that game, they're falling to what, Chad? You think like 8 or 9?
At the worst 10, at the absolute worst. So
this still puts Oregon in the driver's seat to go to the Rose Bowl, which is probably the better spot for them anyway. They're gonna be far more competitive in a game like that. But if Utah's smart, and I'm not sure that any football team would ever roll in like this, they just go out there and lay an egg, and they're probably going to Pasadena to play Michigan State.
It's a lot of money for the school too.
Yeah, exactly. Ton of money for the school. And if you want to know anything that we think about the Bowls games and the New Year's Six, go check out goinfor2.com, because we put up a little article today about that. Last question before we sign off. We got the Michigan Wolverines headed to Maryland. Right now they're favored by 13.5. This feels like another one of those trap games, and this feels like one of those like you're looking ahead, if you're Michigan, to Ohio State next week, because you feel like, you know, if you're a Michigan guy and you're a Michigan fan, you think that Ohio State's going to murder Michigan State. So you feel like you're going to roll in there, beat Ohio State yourself, and then they would actually be the team that would represent in the Big Ten championship game, which would be foreign territory for them because they've never actually been in it. And they might look past a Maryland team that can move the ball. They're not a great team, but Tua's little brother's the quarterback there. And that kid was at Alabama, so this isn't like a little baby recruit. This is a guy that can play big level football. And I think that Michigan is on big time upset alert this weekend.
You would.
That makes me so happy, because everybody knows how I feel about Michigan.
You disagree, Kayla?
No. I listen, guys. I don't cheer for Michigan any more than you guys do. Believe me. It's not a team that I hate, but I don't cheer for them by any means.
I can promise you don't feel the same way as I do.
If they got rid of Harbaugh, I would probably like them. It's probably Harbaugh that's holding me back.
It's everything about them that holds me back.
But if we're leaving college here now, we're at the last final minutes, guys. I want to ask you about the game that's coming in now. Have we seen a team that has a better and more efficient rebuild than what the New England Patriots were able to do in the offseason? They nailed it with Mac Jones, Barrymore, Stevenson. Bang, bang, bang. You got them all right there. Now, Stevenson's only had a couple of good games for us to really see what he's worth. But Barrymore and Mac Jones are obviously incredible. They had defensive players that weren't there last year that were able to come back. But this team is ready to rock. And it doesn't look like they skipped a beat at all.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a great team, and it's why, if you read the Futures article that I put up before the season started, the Patriots at plus 385 look pretty good to win the division.
Yep. You called that one.
it pays to read the. Well, I mean, if you read the whole thing, like you definitely lost money on it. But if you took that bet specifically, you're good. Yeah. I don't know, boys. You got any final thoughts before you sign off here? Because it looks like they're firing up kickoff here. There's about 10,000 Falcons fans at the stadium. There's a lot of red seats,
80,000.
boys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of red seats.
That's brutal. No, I'm excited to get together again next week, guys. Have a good time.
Yeah, we'll get together. It's a little turkey bowl action. We'll fire that guy up. Obviously, make sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube, checking out the Twitch channel. Kalen's got some challengers. He's had a hard time getting. They all challenge Kalen, and then he's like, "All right, when do you want to play?" Like, "Fuck, I don't know." So now that we've taken a hurdle that we actually have challengers now, so we'll get them on there. Check out the Facebook and the Instagram, and if anybody is paying attention, we signed a new act. Slick Rick of All Sports. He is going to be doing his shows presented by us, so they'll be popping up on our channel. So definitely let us know what you think of that. And boys, cheers.